Hey, everybody, it's Sadie. Thank you so much for tuning in for another week of Sadie and Friends. Before we get started, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has signed on and downloaded, set it to automatic download. I love everyone sending messages, and you can actually send me an email. It's really easy. Just go to sadieandfriends.net, scroll down to the bottom, and send me a message. We are right now taking nominations for that special teacher, and that special teacher that you nominate could win a free hot stone massage from my friends at Christiana Salon Spa, because teachers deserve pampering. And again, if you want to get your special teacher in there, all you got to do, sadieandfriends.net, scroll down to the bottom and fill out the little information. It'll take you like 5 minutes, and I bet it'll mean a lot to that teacher. But before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends at Garage Door Service and Sales. Such a wonderful show sponsor. I've been talking about them for, get this, almost 20 years. Almost 20 years. I can't believe it. Family owned and operated, locally owned and operated. This is such a great family. They have dignity. They care about their customers, and they do all kinds of jobs, whether you're looking for just something fixed, something simple, something squeaking and it's driving you crazy, or maybe you want to change the look of your home and get a brand new garage door. They also do estate gates. And you know what I'm super jealous of? People who have in their house like those garage doors where they can open and it's like right out to their outside. Maybe it's like a bar situation and they push a button. How cool. They do that as well. So call my friends at Garage Door Service and Sales, or go to their website. Do a little bit of looking yourself. GarageDoorServiceandSales.com. Garage Door Service and Sales, a proud sponsor of the Sadie and Friends podcast.
I'm going to say the thing you're not supposed to say.
Let's talk about marriage.
They have like a 2-second rebound rate and you're back doing the next pain in the ass thing.
Parenting. Oh my gosh.
They have sucked the pretty right out of me. They treat me like it, and I do their laundry. Lucky me.
Sex.
I'm caught between two evils. I generally like to take the one I never tried.
Scary stuff like ghosts. I know it's totally out of left field, but just go with me on this.
Boo, you whore.
Love.
I give you what you need. That's all. I'm talking about taking care of each other the best you can. What's wrong with taking care of a woman? She takes care of you.
Friendships.
Lincoln, our necklace says best friends forever.
You sure you want it to say forever? I don't think you guys will be best friends forever, no offense, but sometimes you grow apart, and maybe she'll find a new best friend. They end up doing everything together.
You told me to watch this documentary, and this morning I'm like folding laundry. Murphy got on the bus. I'm folding laundry. I'm like, I'm just going to try to finish this documentary. It's on Netflix. It's called Into the Fire. She said,
daughter. Yeah.
The Lost Daughter. She said,
So good.
She texted me, Kelly did a few days ago. She said, you should really watch this documentary and let's talk about it for Murder Monday. I said, okay. And I have told so many people about this documentary because I have never heard of a story with so many twists and turns. And what did you just say? Oh my gosh. It's an insane story.
It's wild. I mean, it's not something you can come up with. You know, it couldn't be written for Hollywood. It's just like, how could this be happening? It's so good. Everybody's got to watch it.
So I don't want to like take up a lot of time hyping this up because you're about to hear the story, y'all. If you have not seen the next Netflix special now, again, you can go on and you could search for it. It's called Into the Fire, yeah. The Lost Daughter. And here is the story. Kelly, take it away.
Okay. Well, we'll have to discuss a lot of it because I watched it recently and didn't like take a ton of notes, but it's pretty easy to remember because it was so freaking scary and wild. But so it starts out with this woman. Her name's Cathy. She had given her daughter away 36 years before. So Cathy was just sick. She was 14 when I read more about this than was in the documentary, which was kind of interesting. Okay. So Cathy's own mother, she sounds like a really shitty person. So I don't know what was going on, but all these people, all these parents were shitty.
I think it was the time. It was the time. Could
be the 80s. Yeah. It was 70s, I guess. So yeah, this Cathy, she had run away herself at 14 to get away from the sexual abuse of her mom's friends. Apparently, she'd been going through this. This wasn't in the documentary. So she ran away. She actually got married at like 16 to this one guy. So her parents had to approve it and be like, yeah, we don't want to take care of you. Get married. Sure.
Ooh.
I know, which she did, and got pregnant at 16. And then she has this baby, and they're together for 6 months, she and her husband, before she finds out her husband's cheating and he becomes a little abusive. So she decides to leave with this 6-month-old baby she had named Alexis. So she goes back home with her mom to live with her mom.
And none of this is in the documentary.
No, this part
I've watched the documentary and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
None of this is in it. Okay.
Yeah. So she runs home to live with her mom, and her mom convinces her, she's had this baby 6 months, and her mom is like, oh, you're about out of form. You really think you can do this? Starts putting these seeds of doubt in her head.
Yeah.
Thinking she's going to be a shitty ass mom. And she actually convinces Cathy to give the baby up for adoption at 6 months old.
Right.
Thinking she's not going to be a good mom.
It was at 9 months.
Oh, you're right. It was like 9 months.
It was 9 months, because I remember watching that and going, damn, 9 months. You have bonded with that baby.
Yeah.
It's one thing if it's like you give birth and then that would be traumatic and hard, but like to have that child by 9 months, they have a personality. They know you.
Yeah. They've had all their first experiences with you. I just couldn't have, I don't know how she did it. And she did not want to.
She was just like, I'm just going to give this 9-month-old baby up.
Yeah.
I can't do it. My mom,
her mom convinced her she was a shitty ass person. And so she was like, you're right. I got to give her up to someone better. But this also wasn't in the documentary, which killed me. So her mom convinces her to give up the baby for adoption. And she actually takes the baby to social services, the mom does, and tells social services that this baby has fetal alcohol syndrome because her daughter had taken LSD when she was pregnant. Both lies. So the baby actually goes into the system instead of into an adoption agency. What? That was different that I didn't know about. So it wasn't like she was just adopted up by anybody.
Like some happy family. It was like they needed to find a place for her.
Yeah. So this Cathy.
Also not in the documentary.
Also not in the documentary. I couldn't believe it when I was reading this stuff. I was like, whoa, there's a whole. We have
you, Kelly, to do some facts for us.
Got to go check out some backstory. But so Cathy, it's now 36 years later. She had always hoped she'd get a chance to reconnect with her daughter. And in the documentary, that's, what she talks about, that she has no way to contact her daughter because it had been through what she believed was an adoption agency, and they kept everything closed.
It's a closed adoption. And so she wasn't really, everything was on lockdown. She had no idea.
And she couldn't, they had changed the baby's name. She didn't even know where she was at. So she gets this letter in 2010, and it's from this adoption agency, and she's excited. She's hoping it's going to be her daughter, hoping to find her. But instead, the letter says that her daughter had gone missing when she was just 14 years old in 1989. So she had no idea. She had no idea. And the whole reason they had tracked her down was because they needed Cathy's DNA to see if a body that had been found was this baby, who had now been renamed to Andrea, which I think is really pretty. Andrea Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that
Alexis to Andrea.
Okay. Andrea. Yeah. Which turns out this body wasn't her daughter. It was someone else's, but that's what they had originally contacted her about.
So now she knew. It wasn't her daughter, but she's like, wait a second.
Why is my daughter missing?
Yeah.
That was horrifying. So she decides to do some of her own sleuthing, and she's able to go. I love this lady because she's able to go online, and she does a search for all the girls that have gone missing in Hamilton, Michigan in 1989, and comes up with a very short list of names of 14-year-olds. And she's able to find her daughter and a picture of her. And she's like, oh, that's going to be her, because she looked a lot like her. So it's so cool because she starts this Facebook page that's called Find Andrea Bowman. And she starts getting messages like right away from all of Andrea's old friends, right? So she starts connecting with them all, and she connects with that armchair sleuth. It's this dude who's like,
this is crazy.
Amazing. He's an accountant by day, but by night he solves missing persons cases.
I don't think he's married or has a girlfriend, because in the whole documentary, the dude was solo at all times and he just had screens around him. And he's one of those people that, but I don't know. Do cops like that? Do detectives like that? Because A, you get a different perspective and you need all the help that you can get. But B, I could also see how that would be a thorn in your side.
Like, annoying. Like, here's this guy again.
This crime, you know?
I did read a little more about him, and it's kind of cool. So he also likes to draw in his spare time. The reason he had you would think.
No offense to anime. Damn it, I'm pissing people off and we're only 12 minutes in. Anime's cool, whatever.
No, he likes classical renderings, apparently, because he started taking all these old Jane Doe and John Doe photos. You know, they have Nimbus, where there's this website of all these missing people, and they sometimes have photographs of the dead's faces, you know, and but when they're already dead, they get sunken cheeks, you know, their eyes are closed. And so he would redraw these and into really lifelike drawings. And he was actually really good at it. So he would send them to the cops.
Again, but he was single, never saw a lady next to his side. No. But he knew how to draw dead people. So it's a handoff in life. You know,
you got to make your choices. Yeah.
He went with dead people drawing. He's like, that's way better than vagina.
He's like, this will give me a livelihood. At least I have something to do at night when I'm rejected.
Yeah. This guy's probably amazing. And we're just
so great. He's so great. I mean, he's helped solve so many giant cases. So
yes, he's a good guy. He's lonely.
I get it. I think I'm going to start doing renderings at night.
Stuff, Kelly.
Anyway. So he's actually been employed by a lot of police officers because he's so good at it, and volunteers a lot. So so
he kind of just does this like on the side where he finds people who are missing, and then he just does like these deep dives on social media, and he finds and he helps solve crimes, and he's not trained for it. No. Isn't that amazing to think like this is kind of the road that cases are being taken? Our people are able to kind of do their own sleuthing because of social media and because of the internet. And I don't know.
Yeah. And he said it really helped him to be this accountant where he's like on all these spreadsheets all the time. And so then he was able to take the comparisons of different agencies that weren't necessarily working together. You know, like maybe police agencies aren't looking at Jane and John Doe's in other states. And so he was able to create all these spreadsheets to cross-reference. And that's why he was able to help with so many of these cases.
Yeah.
So this Cathy, he actually contacts her and he's like, hey, you know, I'd like to help you out. So they start working together, which is so cool. Be like, damn, I want to be.
It was just like a twist of fate that they came upon each other.
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cathy had been, like we talked about, like she'd been so hopeful that her baby had gone to good people. So she starts looking into the friends or the family, you know, that Andrea had been adopted into. And these friends that come forward that were friends with Andrea when they were in high school said that Andrea's dad, Dennis Bowman, he would often hit her, slap her, and her mom, it sounded like she said her mom had slapped her before too, and probably physically abusive. And she'd even come forward and said that Dennis had sexually assaulted her. And she'd even told her mom that. But
was like, you know, which I think happens far too often, where it's like, we're not going to rock the boat. We're going to just look the other way.
Yeah. And she told her she was lying. Yeah.
We all just saw the Menendez show.
Allegedly.
That was a lot of
allegedly,
but I was in it. I was in it to win it on that one. I watched that shit all so fast, but
so good.
Anyway, back to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, and this wasn't like 1970s, 1980s ass whooping, because I come from a ass whooping
Yeah.
Where it was a time where, you got your ass whooped it's a different time now. I understand that. I personally am very glad that I got my ass handed to me by my parents on a regular basis, because I feel you
became better because of it.
They tell me stories and I say, oh my God, you should have beat me harder. You can't do that. And it's a different world out there. But what I'm saying is this isn't like what we had, where it was with love and it was like, God, I hate to do this, but I got to smack you a little
give
bit.
you a little smack. No, this was more abusive. Yeah. Like
weird. Sorry.
Well, and it was also some weird starvation stuff they would do to her.
Yeah, it was like this weird, like, I don't love you and I feel like I have to do this to get your attention. This was like, I'm going to starve you.
It was bizarre. It was like they gave her sandwiches of just ketchup and relish or something. I can't even remember what it was, but it was.
They might have just
nasty.
Because I used to love Miracle Whip on white bread because we didn't have a lot of money, and I still do. Content. Anyway, continue, Kelly.
So anyway, she's not in a great home life, and a lot of her friends would say, she was pretty scared. She didn't want to go home, and she had run away before. So could she have, the adoptive mother is still hoping, the birth mother is still hoping, well, maybe she just ran away because she was 14. She had talked about running away. That's what the Bowmans had believed, her adoptive parents, that she probably just ran away. But in that case, she's got to be out there, right? So
there's always that hope.
Yeah, there's always
maybe she found a better life. She found somebody, or she found independence and didn't need this chaos anymore.
And just left, hopefully changed her name and had a great life. But that's not why we're talking about this. So
it wouldn't be Murder Monday, guys. It wouldn't be Murder Monday.
It wouldn't. So Cathy starts wondering if Andrea's adoptive father, Dennis Bowman, could have had something to do with her disappearance, because she's hearing all these stories about what kind of a creep he was. And Dennis, though, had been the one to report her missing, and he had said that he came home and he couldn't find her and that some of their stuff was missing along with some money. So I read after that, and I don't think this was on the documentary, that there was a warrant issued for Andrea's arrest.
Because they thought she stole when she left.
So they think Dennis is this victim. This girl's just a runaway. So police even declare her a runaway at that time, which kind of makes police stop looking. I was
going to say, when it's a runaway, it's like, well, we don't have time to chase your kid down all the time.
Right.
So they take it seriously. But I think that they had seen enough in the past chaos with this family that. Yeah. And the parents straight up were like, we do everything and she's just a problem child and we don't know what to do and what's going on. And they played the system kind of like a fiddle.
Very well. Very well. Yeah. And police ate it up. They believed it. So there's this one girl who goes searching. Her name, I think the documentary might have had a different name for her, but on this stuff I was reading, her name was Melissa, because I think she kept it kind of secret. She finds this Find Andrea page, and she sends a message to Cathy describing what happened to her on an afternoon in 1989 when she was just 6. So she's telling her how she had been walking to a friend's house. She was flagged down by this man in a truck who promises to take her to see some puppies. Never get in a fucking truck with someone who's going to take you to see.
Never doing this again. God dang, you never see puppies. That is not real. No. I don't know who needs to hear this, but there's no candy and there's no puppies.
I would still probably get in because I love puppies, but I'd
be like, what kind of puppies?
All
right. Open that sliding door. Let me in.
I know.
One day there will be a Murder Monday about me because of these decisions, but continue on.
I'll do it for you. Okay. So this guy, the stranger that grabbed her, had said that, oh, your mother said it was okay for you to come with me, that classic old shit that people used to do. And so
I talked to your mom and she said to get in the car with me because she's in the hospital. Like we all hear that. Yeah.
And this girl's just 6. So what's she going to believe? She's tiny. That's so
I know,
little.
and Murphy is 7. And I think, what would she do?
No.
I really want to think puppies would not win out, but I don't know. I'm not 100% on that train. Fingers
I don't
crossed.
either. Right. Oh, I'm a little tangent off, but my mom told me about when she was a kid, and that would have been the 50s. And she was saying how she was walking home one time and this guy pulled up next to her and was trying to get her to get in his car, was saying her mom had told him to give her a ride. And she just said she just felt something was really weird and wrong. And so she refused and ran. But at that time, that never happened. That wasn't a thing. And so it's like,
and now it would be like on the news. It would be like, everybody look out for this white van.
So it probably did happen at that time. It just wasn't, there wasn't an awareness, but holy shit, I wouldn't be here today. Anyway, so
I'd be like, Mom, all right. First of all, I'd be like, my mom's not going to send a ride for me, fool. She'll tell me to walk. Get out of here. I know you're
exactly.
At me.
And I think that was her too. Like, no, especially I live a block from here. My mom's not going to have me have a ride.
She's
so
here. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So this guy, after he picks her up, he's getting a little creepy. She's in the cab. He starts stroking her face, being icky, and Melissa's stomach starts turning. She's feeling like something's wrong. And so they're driving along. I know. And
she's only 6.
She's only 6. And she starts pointing at each barn they pass. And she's like, is that it? Is that it? Does that have the puppies there? And again and again.
I know.
Oh my God. And he's taking her farther away. And so eventually he pulls into this rural area near the town of Hamilton, Ohio, and parks a truck, grabs her by the neck, drags her into a thicket, rips off her clothing. And I guess he wrapped it around her mouth. This was more stuff I had read. Ties her hands behind her back, takes off all of her clothes, and then unzips his pants to start. Yeah. But luckily these dogs start barking nearby and startle him, and he runs off.
Oh,
she did, and she doesn't remember it, but she did get sexually assaulted. She must have blocked it out.
No, yeah.
A little baby. And so she ends up running naked and barefoot to the main road, and cars pull over, thank God, and get help for her. But
so she escaped this guy.
She did. But that night after that, the police had visited her, and she had sat with a sketch artist, and they created this rendering of this guy. And
I will, again, sorry to interrupt. Yeah. I will be posting photos. So if you, again, watch on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see who we're talking about. I'm very voyeuristic, so I like to see what I'm you want to
visualize it.
I'm visualizing weird shit, and I got to actually focus in on what the image actually is.
Pictures of puppies. Okay. So this guy has had a red pickup truck with a white cab, and she had made this drawing of him, and the case went cold and statute of limitations expired. So nothing ever happened. But she believed that, this guy's probably still out here. And she had seen this picture of Dennis Bowman on this Find Andrea page. Oh, wow. And she swore that was the guy. Like, once she saw it, that is him. That is the guy. Oh, and around the time of her abduction, there had been a series of similar incidents that I read about. There was a 13-year-old girl that was nearly pulled off the street in Holland, Michigan by some dude. There was a 9-year-old girl on a bike who was stopped by a man who opens his truck door, and he kept saying, "Come get some ice cream with me." Again, I'd probably
this son of a bitch would get me every time.
I'd be like, yeah, what flavors we got?
Taco, I'm in. Damn it, Kelly, how are we even alive? Our poor parents were like, they're not going to make it.
They're like
miracles, guys.
They were like, God damn it, they made it home again. What the hell? Yeah, but then there was another where there were 2 siblings, 9 and 7, who were walking near an elementary school when the same kind of truck description, red truck, white cab, pulls up, and he asks them to to get in. He's trying to give him money this time, and then chases him on foot when they
How
run.
much you got, sir?
And no.
Shit, I do it again. But that's very ballsy.
So
Two
ballsy.
kids, they say that like always have your kids be in pairs, always have your kids never be alone, be with other
Right.
people, because it's so unlikely that somebody would be ballsy enough to think that they
To
could
try for
wrangle two
two.
kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could see why. I mean, it'd
So,
be hard to like
wow.
control two.
Yeah.
So these are all kind of conjectures, but it kind of sounds like it could have been him. Like he was this serial rapist. Who knows? But meanwhile, in Norfolk, Virginia, there's this new I think he's a new detective on the force. He's told to go over the old cold cases. So there's a cold case from 1980 for the rape and murder of Kathleen Doyle, who was a wife of a deployed Navy pilot. And he's going through their evidence, and he finds that they still have a bedspread from the case that had been preserved for future DNA testing. So now they send it to the lab. And I thought it was interesting. Originally, Henry Lee Lucas, who was a super famous serial killer who killed along with a partner, Otis Toole, they had confessed to that. But it was later found to be false. You know, they confessed to
Oh my gosh, that wasn't in the documentary.
No, yeah. So they had confessed to this one, but it wasn't. They hadn't done it. So,
okay.
So through this genetic genealogy that we now have, police were able to submit that DNA, and they find a comparison list of about 30 people who could have done it. And Dennis Bowman was on the list. So they decide, gosh, we might have to look more into this guy. So they find that he had said, of course, that he wasn't in the area. No, that couldn't have been me. Norfolk, Virginia. What? Turns out he had done a 2-week stint with the Navy in Norfolk during the time of her murder. So
he wasn't down.
So Cathy learns that she had inadvertently helped solve this murder because at some point she is on Facebook, like basically claiming Dennis did it. She is harassing the shit out of this couple.
Well, she's harassing the couple saying, you killed the daughter that I gave up for adoption and you took over. And then it somehow opened up where not only he did a lot of really bad things, and
really bad
on the list, one of them was this young woman in her early 20s, and he killed her.
It was terrible. So, so at one point, the couple goes in to complain about Cathy harassing them. And because they did that, they give Dennis a bottle of water while he's there, writing out these harassment accusations, and they keep it when he leaves. Take the DNA and compare it. And it's a match to that of Kathy's murder. So, or Kathleen's murder. Kathleen Doyle. So I loved that. I was like, yes, harass the shit out of him. So
and it led, and so they thought they were going in to get her in trouble because they were like, she's harassing us. She's saying he's a killer. He's not a killer. Now the wife, that's a whole other box of mess there because yes, she wasn't the killer, but she saw what was going on.
What's going on?
She knew shit was going on. And she just turned her head. She knew it was like she was this crazy, supportive, weird. That's a weird wife.
It was beyond.
She made excuses for him. You know who she reminds me of? Somebody who never had a boyfriend. And then the first dude that showed interest, she was like, hell yes. And then she hooked that wagon up, and he did horrible things. And she always just found a way
to care.
To be there.
She always said something about, I take my vows very seriously. And I was like, girl, there's also a vow. Like if you're such a Christian, because I think that was what she was touting. There's also a vow to do not kill and maybe
rape people. I mean, I take my vows, but at some point it gets a little, and I think she saw a ton of what was going on and just tried to turn her head.
Yeah, I think she did too. And I don't feel she was as innocent as she claims. Even in just having that knowledge, I felt like you're culpable. But In the beginning, of course, Dennis swears up and down and he has nothing to do with Andrea's disappearance, but his story eventually changes. So what? He's in jail in, I don't even know. Oh, in Virginia, probably Norfolk. And he wants to get back to Michigan so he can be close to Brenda, his wife, who dotes on him and loves him to death, and his daughter.
Really the only person in his life that believes in him. His whole family is like, you crazy. Yeah. Everyone is like, knows he's a killer, and she is the only one.
Yeah, she stands by him. Big time.
She doesn't believe him because she will acknowledge, like, you shouldn't have done it. What did you do? That was not a good idea.
That was a bad choice, but I love you. I'm here for you.
It's a trip. It's a trip. Go ahead.
Yeah. So between that, he's in jail for a long time, and he finally admits, because the police are like, you know what? We might give you a deal if you tell us what happened to Andrea. If you did something to her, we might be able to get you back to Michigan. And so finally, I mean, they go back and forth for the longest time. He finally admits to his wife. That was crazy. They do this interview. They bring the wife in.
Well, they worked for weeks and weeks, and the guy's like, I didn't kill my daughter. I'll admit that I did kill this other woman, but I don't know what happened to her. I mean, he really stuck it out, and they just kept kind of ticking away. And then one day he said, I'd like to talk to the detectives, and I'd like my wife to be here. And that's how they set it up, which the detective said, this is something that we don't really do. But they wanted to know what happened to this girl. And so they allowed it to happen.
And it was shocking to see Brenda really didn't believe that he had done it, because she was just sobbing. He said that he had hit Andrea at the top of the stairs and that she'd fallen backward down the stairs and broken her neck. But then he's telling her about how he puts her in a barrel and has to cut off her legs because she didn't.
So she can fit in the barrel. And she keeps crying and saying, don't admit to what you didn't do.
Right.
And like, I don't know, Brenda, maybe it's time to open them ears up and see that.
God.
Like, if he killed one chick, he's gonna probably, like, you didn't take a hard look at our missing daughter.
Right. And then she's like bawling, but that's our daughter, not our daughter. And I wanted to be like, girl, come on. What is wrong with you? But
crazy.
Yeah. So police are like, okay, well, now that we know you did it, we need to get the body, tell us where she is. And it's like he really didn't want to give up that body. He really wanted to keep that body. It was bizarre. So he's writing Brenda from jail a ton. He writes her over and over, and his story keeps changing. And finally, he tells her, okay, what was cool was that Cathy, the birth mother, was like, I know his daughter's in his backyard.
Yeah.
And she would not give that up. But
they dug it up and they found nothing.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't care that my kid is there.
It's there. And so finally, he tells his wife that Andrea is buried in their backyard, which is weird. And Brenda's like, that can't be, because we moved after Andrea died. But he tells her that he had buried her at their old house. But then when they signed the papers at their new house, he dug her up and put her at their new house and then concreted over her. So,
oh, what a psycho.
It's like he wanted to keep that body. He wanted to keep her.
But I will say that when they interviewed him, I mean, I feel like I believed the guy. He cried and he's like, it was an accident. When he murdered the woman in Virginia, he's like, I was at the bar. I was really drunk. I was just there to rob her. And then she freaked out and she stabbed herself on accident. And I said, I'm out of here.
Right.
And so he had an excuse for that. And then when it came to his daughter, he was like, well, we were at the top of the stairs.
And it could have happened,
and I slapped her and she fell down the stairs. She broke her neck. I didn't know what to do because this guy also tried to kidnap a girl. He spent time in prison.
Right. So it wasn't like he.
Yeah. So he said, if I were to have confessed, or said, like this happened, it was an accident, they would be like, we're sending your ass back to prison. So he says he panicked, but he had a way where I was like, oh, wow.
He was very believable. Although the first lady, that Kathleen, he made it sound like he was barely there. But in the actual reports about her death, she'd been raped and kind of tortured and stuff for a while. So it's not like he innocently.
And that's the thing is they came out and said he's lying. He left so much out.
Yeah.
And
crazy. He was very good
liar. He was a very skilled liar.
Very convincing. Yeah. So they did. Yeah. Like you said, they find Andrea's body. Then they go and dig her up behind the Bowman's house. And that was weird. Brenda's sitting there bawling like, she's my baby's at our house.
It's our daughter. And I'm like, where were you when he was beating the hell out of her?
Yeah. And it sounds like she was the same way. So, but there were these, they did an autopsy and experts said that she had been dismembered. He had wrapped her body in plastic bags and stuffed them into this cardboard barrel before burying them.
Yeah.
But the remains were too decomposed to see how she had actually died. So it couldn't be said that she'd broken her neck. But in the end, the end that was so heartbreaking. And I don't know what I would do in this situation if you're the adoptive mom, but she asks Cathy, the birth mom, she's like, hey, do you want to split the ashes of Andrea? And, Cathy is just like horrified. Like this child had already been dismembered. Now you're going to cut her body in half, basically again, to send me half of the ashes. So I think
it's a trip.
Oh, I think they're in a legal battle over it.
Are they currently in a legal battle over it? Oh my
God. Over the ashes.
What a nightmare. This girl thought that, first of all, she got pressured into giving her baby away by her mom. She didn't want to do it. Gives the baby away because she's being told this baby's going to go to a beautiful home. Mm-hmm. And then it ended up going to a serial killer and a wife who it was a ride or die and just turned her head and looked the other way. And it was a house of nightmares. But
horrible.
I'm going to tell you again, there's a Netflix. Kelly, she got me more information. I just watched the documentary, but there's a Netflix documentary. It's called Into the Fire. And there are so many twists and turns in this. You can't even believe what's going on. And so, Kelly, the fact that you were able to narrow that down, because I thought, I don't know how she's going to narrow all this down. This is too much.
I know it's a lot.
But you did such a good job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening. From the bottom of my heart, I'm just so grateful. Every day I hear from so many cool people, and that's sometimes on social media. I get messages. I also get messages. I have gotten a few already on the brand new website, sadieandfriends.net, where you can nominate that special teacher for a hot stone massage with Christiana Salon Spa. But enough about me. Let's talk about one of the best sponsors ever. It's Polar Bear Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Right now, they have got a killer special going on. It's $99 for a spring tune-up, which means right now, we're in a grace period with weather. It's a little warm. It's a little cool. It's kind of right in the middle. Do not wait until you can see those heat lines on the concrete when your AC breaks down, because you didn't get that spring checkup for $99 with Polar Bear Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Also, have you thought of the fact that you might be running your system really hard and it needs to get a tune-up in order to get that cool feeling? You're running it, you're spending money that you shouldn't be spending. You got to make sure that it is looked at and it is running like a top for the season. You don't want to wait till it's 104 degrees and then the kids are crying and the wife is nagging on you, or the husband, he's complaining. Whatever your situation is, you don't want to be caught there. So call my friends at Polar Bear Plumbing, Heating, and Air, or go online and read about this great spring special yourself. PolarBearPHA.com. Polar Bear Plumbing, Heating, and Air, a proud sponsor of the Sadie and Friends podcast.